Everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, March 19th of 2023. Now, today's message is all about the ripple effect and what we each put out every day in almost every moment and the effect that it has on the rest of humanity and the energy of the planet. Because some of us feel like we know we have this purpose, but we don't know exactly the effect that it's having. And there are many, many things that we don't see and we don't realize because of the ripple effect. So I wrote down a bunch of thoughts. It actually took up about 4 pages. And I just thought, you know what? It doesn't feel very cohesive as I was kind of reading through this before I turned this on this morning. But I'm just going to kind of go with the flow, see what kind of comes in randomly based on what I've written down. And then maybe it'll ripple out and something will touch you, it'll touch your heart, it'll help you realize the deep purpose that we each have. And, for me, every time I research or I write down my thoughts thinking about what I want to talk about on Sunday, I have these moments of a deep realization of not just why I'm here, but the huge shifts that are happening in the planet. I am just so grateful to be a part of it. So some of the first things that I wrote down are, and this is the very first thing I wrote down, is everyone everywhere, is it all doom and gloom? Like we are in the middle of some mass formational, transformational moments, and maybe mass formation, right? That's a concept I heard about a couple of years ago, just watching the world move through the pandemic. But there is a mass transformation happening, and it can seem like it's all doom and gloom. But here's the question: is it? Is it really? So here's the question you ask yourself: what do you believe? And it's like these things. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in no God? Do you believe in nothingness after death? Do you believe in reincarnation? I mean, these are all questions I think that we ask ourselves when we go on a spiritual awakening, a spiritual journey, the conversations we have with other people, the times when we tune into the deepest part of ourselves and ask ourselves these questions. This has been a path I've been on pretty much my whole life, but it has been an accelerated path the last 3 years, especially. The first year, not so fun. Talk about just the chaos in my own mind and in my own life, and the things that I see that I didn't feel like other people saw, and the judgment that I had. That's a thing that was very, very necessary for me to go through, and I've come out the other end, and especially where we are now, a solid 3 years out, where to say I'm grateful for that expansion and growth is a definite understatement. And I don't want to go through it again. There might be other times when I have more expansion and more growth in the future that I don't think is going to be quite so painful or chaotic, because I feel like the growth that I've had and experienced during these past 3 years, and in particular the first year and the second year too, very much so, very, very, it was more painful now looking back in retrospect than it had to be. But I also think it happened the way it did for a purpose. So I think that we need to not only ask ourselves, what is it that we truly believe, but we need to ask ourselves, let me turn this up to make sure we have good volume, ask ourselves, what is the definition in our own personal way of a good life? That is a big question, right? So here's the thing, we all have our own worldview, we have our own perception, we have our own expectations. And then, with all of these things, we have our own experience. Even the people that you live in the same household with has their own experience. Even if a lot of the things that you're experiencing can feel the same, we all have our different perceptions, worldview, expectations, and then the experience that we have. It's all different, even if there's just slight differences. I know walking through this world, not just with my siblings, but with my spouse, we have very different worldviews and perceptions and experiences, even though we come together every single day and we have conversations, it's interesting when we talk about world events and different things, how different our perspectives are and our own experiences. It's been the most fascinating thing for me, and it's helped me to live a more non-judgmental, more loving, and just a more loving life as a human being, as a soul and consciousness living in this human experience. It's helped me to be more open and more compassionate and more non-judgmental. I've never been more sure of walking through this life with non-judgment than I am now. So here's a really beautiful question that came in this week. And this came in from, I'm trying to remember what, it was some podcast I was listening to. This was toward the first of the week, and I actually didn't write down the name of the podcast that I was listening to. But the main question that you really want to ask maybe others when you want to have a deeper conversation, and then definitely ask yourself this as you walk through life, is, are you curious? And the goal for me is to be open and curious about everything. I don't want to just get my worldview and make it so solid that I lose my curiosity, and I'm not willing to be open-minded and be willing to experience other things. This is the whole thing. I want to experience and grow and expand and transform as much as I possibly can while I am here. So, that is amazing. So here's some thoughts. I'm just going to kind of read through this because this is a really beautiful thing that just kind of solidified in for me this week. So up until recently, the world has been changing, but up until very recently, the earth has been very dense. The energies have been very dense. And the word that has been coming through for a lot of people, and you hear this, is there's a great awakening happening. And you can look at the word awakening and the rise in consciousness and the change of the energies and frequencies of the planet in any way that you'd like to. But I do find that the word awakening really resonates with me. So many people have been drawn into this because they feel it so strongly. And here's another thing. People have been drawn to release the pain of different things that they've experienced and that they've held on to. I think people are tired of feeling pain, whether that's emotional or physical or mental or spiritual. There can be pain in all of those things, and I think with all of the light and the lifting of the denseness because of the awakening of humanity and even the planet, people are starting to realize they don't need to hold onto pain. There's a lot of intense light energy that is surrounding the planet, and you're being offered the opportunity for your body to heal and lift itself up. The density is getting less, which is why we are seeing so much awakening. This awakening is that we feel different. Here's what I've noticed. We feel different than we did 3 years ago. Like I said at the very beginning, I feel like I am such a different person. There's a lot of me that is still the same because I am who I am. I am Jane. I am this consciousness, this soul, this person. But I know that I am so different, and I'm so grateful. So this is an intense experience for some. Some people are sharing their awakening, as I am sharing with you. And some people are not ready to share, and that's okay too. It's more of an internal thing for some people. So this is what is providing the opportunity to heal the pains that are happening and have happened to many of us throughout the whole time since we've been on this planet, since we've incarnated here in this physical body. The physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is, whether it's just trauma or lack of growth or stuck in old systems, this is providing an opportunity for these things to heal. The opportunity to actually see that you are capable, I love this, of letting go. This is an opportunity for you to see that you are capable of letting go of physical pain, physical disease, physical traumas that have happened for you. They've happened for you in this experience. And, I had a couple of really beautiful connections with new friends this week, a couple of very different, unique situations, because what I believe happens is our body creates physical ailments, physical pain. It even creates disease and different things as a distraction from emotional trauma. I believe that our emotional traumas that we have and we experience are so painful that our body creates these physical diseases and pain as a distraction, because the physical problems are so much easier to deal with, believe it or not, than the emotional trauma that we've experienced. And it might be spiritual trauma, mental trauma, emotional pain is not only so difficult to deal with, that our body creates this it's true pain, and it is true disease. I've had some really good conversations with Stephen Ozanich, who he's written several books, but he wrote a very powerful book that it's been out for more than a decade, called The Great Pain Deception. And I've actually interviewed him 6 times on this channel. And there's a playlist that you can go to, and you can watch all 6 of our interviews. This whole thing about emotional pain causing physical pain and disease, to me, is the missing component of us being in this physical body, healing ourselves naturally, realizing the pharmacy of medical miracles that we have living inside of us, is the missing puzzle piece to us being vibrantly healthy. And I've personally experienced some of this myself over the years. I actually had a first phone call with Stephen in 2014. So now we are, it's almost 10 years that I've known this beautiful human. And he continues to be a light and a force that ripples out all of this beautiful information and healing energy for people when they are open to this message. So, to me, this is such a beautiful opportunity to see that we are capable of letting go of old pains, of old wounds that have kept us down or held us back or caused us pain in the physical form. We don't have to suffer now. Is there going to still be suffering? Yeah, we're here on a dense planet. We are in a physical body that experiences, when we get ourselves cut, if we're chopping vegetables and we cut ourselves, there's going to be pain. It's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. But here's the other part of the deal. We know how to heal when we get the right tools, which can be emotional, it can be physical. We need to remember that we are biology. We have the Biology of Belief, which is another famous book by Dr. Bruce Lipton. I love him. I've actually, many years ago, probably 15 years ago, I had the brilliant opportunity of being at a conference, and he was a speaker. And of course, I had read his book several times at that point. I went up to the stage afterward, and I waited in line to talk to him and get my picture with him and just tell him how impactful his message had on me. Because basically his message, if you've never heard of the Biology of Belief or Dr. Bruce Lipton, please look him up. But there's 2 main components. The environment that our body is put in. We must take care of this physical vessel. We have to eat clean. We have to sometimes supplement to get all of the nutrition we need. We have to drink plenty of water. We have to get good sleep. We have to get sunshine. We have to get exercise. We have to put our body in a good state on a biological level. And the second full piece of being healthy is what we believe. If we believe we are destined for sickness and disease, it's just like believing that we have a genetic predisposition to any type of thing, cancer, diabetes, heart disease. If we believe that that is our genetic predisposition, and we believe it so strongly, or we just believe that that's just part of what we are going to experience, whether we have control or not, then that is going to be part of our experience, because our belief system is the other 50% of us being vibrantly healthy or not. And there is only a tiny, tiny, tiny genetic piece of the physical puzzle that we cannot control. It's very, very tiny. So right now we are seeing for the first time on this planet a desire to truly heal from pain. And I believe that. There is such a strong desire, because we're starting to realize, because the denseness is lifting, we're starting to realize, oh, I don't have to live my life in pain. So truly, we want to truly experience a life from pain. And from what I see, people are truly ready to face that which causes them pain. We sometimes have to maybe have a little more pain on an emotional, mental, or spiritual level, and maybe even sometimes physically, before we can experience freedom from that pain. But from my perspective, from what I see, and the people that I talk to, and the things that I watch and listen to, and the things that I feel are energetically drawn to me, people are ready to release the pain. We don't have to experience it on the level that we do. So people are ready to face that which causes them pain. And I find that people are ready to stop identifying that which causes them pain. So think about, and I've talked about my mom in the past before in other videos. And my mom passed away 8 years ago. And she was one of the most positive, beautiful, amazing women that I've still ever had the extreme pleasure of having in my life. And I feel so grateful that I was able to come through and be her daughter. The interesting thing about my mom is that she chose the life of being a mother, and she embodied that on every level. She had 11 natural children who were all still living and well, and then my parents adopted 3 Native American children who grew up with us. They were all very small. They were preschool age, and we were raised with them. They're our siblings. But my mom chose to be a mother, and she was like, I look at my siblings as now a person in my 60s, and my youngest sibling is almost 41. He'll be 41 this year. So here's this range of 20 years. We're all adults, we're all middle age and up, and we all are these thoughtful, compassionate, kind, productive human beings that were, my mom, this is what my mom and dad gave to us. But I watched as my siblings, we all kind of went out of the home and did our own thing and became responsible adults. My mom never really felt, well, I even hesitate to say this, but I really think it's true. I don't think she felt worthy, because she never worked outside the home. She worked. This woman was a hard worker. I mean, think about raising that many children, keeping a household, keeping us fed, keeping us clothed. I mean, there was so much brilliance and beauty in the contribution that my mom brought to this world. And I know as a woman who's transitioned to the next life, the moment she transitioned, she knew, oh, wow, not only was I so worthy, I had a huge impact. But she had MS for 46 years, and the last 10 or so years of her life were less than optimal. She was in a wheelchair. She needed help getting in and out of bed and into her wheelchair. Her physical body really just failed her, and really it kept her in a place of needing all of us and other people to help take care of her. And I think from my perspective, and there's no fault for the way my mom lived her life, it's quite the opposite from my perspective and the perspective of my siblings. But I feel like she could have made different nutritional choices, physical choices. I think she could have definitely been more proactive in taking care of her health. And I only say this story of my mom to maybe let you know that no matter what physical ability or disability that you might have in your life, or anything that is something that maybe physically is you feel has genetically been passed down to you, we have the ability to change and to make our physical body stronger, more healthy, more vibrant. We have this ability. We have this. It's God-given to us. So, okay, two pages out of 4. So I'm going to kind of go through this quicker because I don't want you to open this video and go, oh my gosh, this is like an hour. So I think that we can use emotions such as fear and anger to transform our life and to contribute. Our purpose doesn't have to be grand. So this is, again, the ripple effect. We can inspire someone by something simple that we say. We can inspire someone by our actions, by the life that we lead, in even just quiet contribution. It doesn't have to be splashy and loud. And, you might be someone who wants to write a book, and say you write a book and 10 people read it. What if one person reads that book and they become so inspired by what you wrote that they go out and they ripple out? You don't know the impact and the ripple effect of what you have to contribute. We all come with a purpose. And what we think might be small, or we don't even really know, someone might watch you be an amazing gardener and take care of the yard that you have, the fruit and vegetables that you produce, and the impact that you have by just your example. We just don't know. So we need to follow our impulses, no matter how small they are. We need to look at them as crumbs. Here's an impulse. You feel something that you need to do. It's an impulse to follow that. That's a crumb. That's an intuition. Follow it. Little pebbles along the way. Pick them up and say, okay, I'm supposed to pick this up. I'm supposed to do this thing. So this is what I believe is happening, is a revolution of our hearts. And we all have such a bigger impact than we know. So anyone can leave an impact. So I also watched, like I said, might feel a tiny bit random, but this week I watched this really powerful 3-hour podcast between Joe Rogan and Russell Brand. And it was, and I've watched both of these guys here off and on, different things. I haven't always followed them exactly and watched everything they do, but I was just pulled to start to watch this. And I was like, I listened to the whole thing. And of course I was multitasking. There was one point I was doing art while I was listening. But one of the big messages that I got in this is the importance of getting uncomfortable to take care of our physical body. Whether that be do an ice plunge, or whether that be simple exercise, because exercise can be uncomfortable. We're not designed to sit on a couch in front of our technology, headset on, being a blob and being pure consumers. This is what keeps us stuck. This is what the powers that be that profit from us being a blob and just being a consumer, this is how they benefit. And we're here to experience. And if our physical body is not strong and healthy, and we're not willing to get uncomfortable and do things that make us these vibrant human beings that can go experience life because our physical body is in a good place, we can't fulfill our purpose. So our soul wants expansion and it wants growth. So in order to be different than you are now, you must get uncomfortable. There must be some discomfort. And there are some people who won't be willing to change. And that's not our thing. That is their thing. We get to decide if we want to change. And that's where it all starts from. But here's the thing. Right now it's easier than it ever has been because of the denseness that is lifting off the planet. And the systems that are not happy with the change because this rocks their world, it seems a little chaotic. But there has never been an easier time for you as a human being to change because of the brilliance and the light and the frequency that is coming to the planet right now. So take advantage of that. So the light is offering to those who are ready to rise up. This is a time of transformation. Community is important. And I think that this will happen quietly but rapidly. So it's not something you're going to be hearing. You're not going to be hearing this on the news. You're not going to even be hearing it on alternative news. You might hear more of it there, but I think that this is rapidly happening quietly. That is my perspective. So I think we're looking out for each other more. We're caring for each other more because we know that that is the essence of who we truly are. We just have to simply move through this phase. And I think in the next 2 or 3 years, like sometimes I'm a little stunned that it's been 3 years since the start of the pandemic. I thought there would be, the awakening would happen much quicker, but that's just not the way things happen. Things don't happen that fast. And 3 years is in the whole scheme of time and the eternity of time. 3 years is not very long. And I think in the next 2 or 3 years, the transformation that's going to happen and is already happening on a large scale will stun you. And I would encourage you to gather up all of that is within you and be a part of it. Be willing to be uncomfortable. So we just have to move through this phase. We have the capacity for so much more. We need to lead with our heart and realize, again, the ripple effect that we have. Now, I thought that it would be perfect to just end this with just the thought of the 4 agreements. This has been one of my favorite books for many, many years, and I've read this, I've turned to it many, many, many times over the past probably 20 years, maybe more. And one of the most powerful ones of the 4 agreement is to not take anything personally. And now that we're at minute 27, I'm going to bring this up because I can go back into the analytics on the YouTube channel and I can see how long people last when they watch a video. And most people don't last 30% in, 50% in. If someone's lucky, they'll last 50% in. So this weekend, in fact, yesterday, one of my sister's daughters, so my niece, and I have a lot of sisters and I have a lot of siblings. Yesterday, she got married, and half the siblings, so half the aunts and uncles were invited to the wedding and half weren't. So think about this situation where it'd be easy to get your feelings really hurt and to take it personally. And I will tell you, I didn't even realize, because there was not even an invitation sent out or an announcement, which is fine. Like, this is an opportunity to go, am I going to take this personally? Does this have anything to do with me? I know my niece. She is a lovely, brilliant, beautiful human being. And this is her wedding. She gets to choose who is at her wedding, who is present there. And I sent her a gift. I sent her a note telling her congratulations and how much I loved her. And it has nothing to do with me. And this is where we get the opportunity to put these things into practice. It really becomes so simple when you release the need to think, well, you need to respond this way, and I get to choose to have my feelings hurt by something you did that had nothing to do with me. I know she loves me, and her wedding is her wedding. I get to still celebrate that, and I get to be. It's not even about being a better person. It's just simply saying, this is a beautiful celebration of how she chose to add her husband into her life. So if you can learn these 4 agreements, don't take anything personally. Always do your best. And I might not even remember what they all are. Anyway, to me, that's the most impactful. Realizing that not everything is about you. You get to move through life and bring your brilliance to this world. And those little ripples that go out are going to be so beautiful and so impactful. So I'm going to end it right there. Ripple out. Let it, everything that you have to offer, whether it's so tiny you can't even fathom that someone else is going to benefit from it. Just be you. Rise with this consciousness. Take advantage of the beautiful energy that makes it so much easier to evolve and transform. Take advantage of this. I think it's amazing. So thanks for watching, you guys. We are 30 minutes in, and if you got to the end of this, serious kudos to you. Thank you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this, and maybe let me know if there was something that sparked in you a thought of, oh, this is something that I've been doing that I never really thought might have an impact, but here's how I can see how it might. And my hope for you is that you be more conscientious and more thoughtful about what you are putting out into the world on a daily basis. So thank you so much for watching. Love is in the air. We are transforming as humanity, and I am grateful to be a part of it. So make your week brilliant. Stay in your heart, and we will talk to you next week.